Hey, good evening, guys. When it rains, it pours. I am currently under a mini lockdown until I have a health code change from red to green. So let's do this video about 360-degree evaluation of leadership. So as you're probably aware, we were told to do survey forms for the following people in our school community: teachers, parents, students, and so forth. I decided to focus primarily on students and teachers only because of the validity of the questionnaire I gave. The majority of people that submitted any information were teachers and students. I was not able to get parents due to the fact that we have a school policy in terms of giving parent surveys. Um, and there weren't that many administrative leaders, school staff to kind of focus on. And so I focused primarily on teachers and students. I'm going to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the survey and hopefully figure out more about the school community as a whole. So, the majority of students who took this survey were either juniors or seniors. It was easy to focus on the students that I have in my classes, um, and because of the fact that it just our school has definitely has some concerns about privacy, and so after much negotiation, I was able to at least use the students in my classroom to get a better idea about what's happening in the school as a whole. But as you notice, the majority of people are juniors and seniors. Um, the freshman class is actually kind of small compared to the sophomores, juniors, and seniors. The freshman class is only about 31, whereas the other three is roughly about 60 to 70 per class. So the majority of my students happen to be juniors who are taking either history, any history course that might be. So I got 69 people who responded, and the first question here is talking about, does your teacher encourage you to perform better? And I've noticed here that the average score out of 5 was a 4.2. The average score for oops, the average score here for my teacher has fair rules is 4.5. What the weaknesses I noticed here is just looking at questions: does your teacher guide you in setting personal targets? And consider your complete experience with the school. How likely would you recommend it to other friends or colleagues? And so this was the thing that actually stood out to me was when I look at the strengths and weaknesses of the school. It appears that the students feel as though the teachers respect them, and for the most part, it appears they have a a good school experience. But like when we talk about success of the students, there is clearly something that's not being addressed. Um, for some reason, it appears that the students don't know what it means to be successful. Um, we talked about this in our cohort about the idea of success criteria, and I think I'm going to have to push that on the staff about showing exactly what does success mean. Well, I have noticed that, like in the history department, that we use rubrics to understand what it means to be successful, but I'm a little concerned exactly why these students feel as though that they're not shown exactly what it means to be successful. Um, and the other part about this weakness was the fact that they wouldn't recommend it to other people. If they're having a good school experience, then why would they not recommend it to other people? And I don't know if that's because of the fact that it's just a school and teenagers don't like school, or there's something else that's involved. Um, we say that we're an international school, but when you kind of dive into the other parts, the primary and middle school part, I'm not sure how international it is, and I think if our selling point is international program, and then you look at the primary and middle school, maybe what they're saying is that they're having a good experience in the upper school, the high school level, but as a whole, it feels still like it's a Chinese school. So I'm not sure. I definitely wanted to dive into that a little bit more when I have some more time. But it's interesting how the teachers definitely treat the students fairly. However, the teachers are not showing the students success, and they like the school experience, but they wouldn't tell their friends. So I'm not sure what's going on there, and I would love to dive into that a little bit more when I have some more time. Protects the school from practices, disruptions. I know that's been my focal point is making sure that the focus is on me versus the staff and so forth. Empowers teachers to identify needs and expectations for successful learning. Once again, this is an area where it seems like frequently or occasionally seems to be the goal here. Establishes or builds relationships that are based on covenants and commitments. Once again, frequently uh, works with teachers to build strong relationships. Frequently, and the last question here forms positive relationships with schools, so stakeholders. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Slow down, Gerard. Frequently as well. Um, what I have noticed here is that when it comes to the strengths of from the survey, is that the people who came back to school from last year in the lockdown um, feel as though that they like the idea of having an administrator who's actually physically on campus. Um, the past administrator for the last 2+ years actually has been in Canada. Um, and so I think part of the reason why I think the marks are a bit high in terms of frequent and occasionally when it comes to the interactions I have with the staff is due to the fact that I'm actually there on campus. Um, I feel as though I walk around the campus as much as possible, even though I was teaching 5 classes. I check in with the staff as much as I can. I communicate as much as I can via WeChat or email or school meetings. And so I feel as though that's a strength that I have is being able to communicate effectively with the staff and so forth. Now, the area of improvement is probably based on the fact that I there's a lot of new staff. I feel like in the high school program, the retention rate was about 50%. And so there's a lot of new staff there. And so there's definitely needs to be some guidance in helping out the new staff in terms of curriculum and assessment. I know that each department has HODs, and I feel like the HODs are actually all returning staff. And so I think there is a structure in place to help out the news teachers, but still, it's a work in progress. We've only been back now for, well, when a survey was given to them, it was probably about a month. And a lot of the new staff were just, once again, getting comfortable with the new environment that they're in, including myself. And so I think if I was to do this survey a little bit later, maybe that's an area that would have been in the strengths. However, knowing this now, I think it's important for me to kind of once to get some time in which to actually talk to the HODs about this, making sure that the new staff feel more comfortable about the curriculum. Yeah, and so I just feel like um, the overall situation on the school campus um, has been a good one so far. But I will